How to address hammer toes and chronic toe gripping. We're going to go through a 4-step process: release, stretch, activate, and strengthen. And for more context and more in-depth information, check out my blog at thatbarefootcoach.com. First place that we're going to release is the bottom of the toe. So whether you have a mallet toe, a claw toe, a hammer toe, it doesn't matter. You want to concentrate your efforts where the joint is stuck in the flex position. So a mallet toe is when this top joint here is stuck down. That's what I had for the longest time in most of these toes. And what you want to do is grab the toe, and then we are going to massage that joint. Now, this is going to be uncomfortable. It's likely going to be painful. You need to press up against that threshold of pain, but of course, don't go so hard that you injure yourself, okay? But just understand that this process is not going to be comfortable. It's not going to be easy. If you have already developed hammer toes, that means that you have been dealing with imbalances for a number of years, all right? And it's going to take some time to actually get the tissue to respond. So we are pressing up against the bottom and massaging. I do not recommend using any type of oil or lubricant. You can use a fascial release wax, but in my opinion, it's really not necessary. I don't use anything when I do this, okay? And what that does is it creates a level of friction in the skin where you can really get into the fascia. If you use an oil or a lotion, then you just glide right over it, and it's not going to be as effective, all right? And as you're doing this, if you have tightness or issues on the top as well, you can also focus your efforts there. Okay, if your extensors are tight, which are these tendons here, then you want to start at the base of the toe and push down. And you just want to think of getting these toes to be straight, okay? The next place that we're going to release is the plantar tissue, or the bottom of the foot. So we're going to get our spacer mobility 8-ball, and you're going to start by rolling. Now, I love this tool because you can get all angles of the feet with the double ball. And once you roll, you want to work on applying a little bit of pressure in different areas. So work your way from the heel, midfoot, all the way up to the MTP joint, applying pressure and really working through the areas that feel tender or tight. Next, we're going to stretch the toes and the plantar tissue. Now, this right here is the fasciitis fighter round 2, which is an incredible tool for this because of this ridge right here. So we're going to place the toes up onto the ridge. Now you're going to need to intentionally reach with your toes and keep them straight. Your toes are going to want to grip, and you don't want that to happen. So set your foot in a good position, and from there you're just going to go up into a calf raise, and this alone is going to hit the toes and the plantar tissue. If you don't have access to that tool, you can always roll up a towel and get a similar effect. Okay, so we are reaching with the toes, making sure that they're staying straight and not gripping, and we are going up into a calf raise and holding for 30 to 60 seconds. The next step is activate. Now, the purpose of this is to turn on the sensory receptors in the soles of the feet. The freest way to do this is to walk outside. Okay, you can walk on gravel, you can walk on rocks, on boulders, on tan bark, on the grass. There's many ways to do this with nothing, all right? However, I do have a couple of amazing tools that I use pretty much daily. So first, we've got spacer mobility rock mat. And then we have the sensory disc that's linked in my Amazon storefront. Now, I love both of these. Neither is better than the other. They're just different in how they turn on the nerves in the feet. Spacer mobility rock mat is going to be more of a dull feeling. It's going to feel a bit more like a massage, whereas this blue sensory disc is going to be a very sharp feeling. Most people cannot step on this with just their bare feet the first time they use it. I often recommend starting in socks and working up, or putting a sheet over it, or whatever to lessen the intensity of these spikes, because that's pretty much what it feels like, okay? However, you do want to work up to the point where you can step on it without socks, you can be barefoot on it, because the value in being able to withstand this type of texture is very important. In order to activate, we are going to spread out the mat, and first we're just going to step around. So you want to get a feel for the rocks, you want to get a feel for your feet of where you may have more sensitivity, and when you do find that spot, you want to hold. And then once your feet are up for the task, you want to work up to be able to squat and move and do different exercises on the rock mat. Next, we have the sensory disc. Same thing, you want to step on it and then get to a point where you just hold. I would recommend staying here anywhere from 30 to 90 seconds, maybe even more depending on your tolerance. Since we're dealing with toe gripping and hammer toes, another technique to use is putting just the toes and the balls of the feet on the disc. And again, you can step around, taking tiny little steps back and forth, and you can also find that sweet spot. Make sure you feel all your toes and the balls of your feet on it, and hold. Now the last step is strengthening, and we're going to do that by a simple one leg balance. Now, what's important here is the intention behind the movement. Anybody can go up into a balance, grip for their lives, and accomplish nothing. So you're going to want to bring awareness and attention to what your toes and your feet are doing. So make sure you have a wall or something to hang on to. Press into the tripod, the heel, first metatarsal head, fifth metatarsal head, that's your tripod. Press, reach with the toes, and balance. Now, make sure you can peek down at your feet, because if you do start gripping, then you need to relax, reset, go again. The next exercise we're going to do is a calf raise hold. So make sure you have a good toe splay, you're pressing into that tripod, and we go up onto the toes and hold. Now, once again, it's really about the intention behind the movement. So if you do this and you're constantly gripping with your toes, you're not going to get much out of the exercise. So make sure as you go up into that calf raise hold, we are reaching with the toes. Take a peek down, make sure those toes are flat, reaching forward, and hold for 1 to 2 minutes. Once you do that, you're going to do reps. So make sure that you start with a small range of motion. Oftentimes, if you are a chronic toe gripper, then the higher you go, the more your toes are likely to grip. So start in a small range of motion, nice and slow and controlled. And if you can, without toe gripping, slowly increase your range of motion. Check out the description below for more information on sets and reps, and if you found this video helpful, click subscribe and share with a friend.